cross-pollination between genres and artists, and a way to create a unique collaborative art experience. For this event, we have paired 6 sets of poets with musicians to each perform a poetry reading to live music. Before this event, none of these artists who are working together had ever met each other. I'm so grateful to all of our artists who are so flexible, so creative, and who lent their energy to this project. And beyond that, I'm so grateful to see so many of you here tonight supporting the local poetry and music scene. So, I will introduce our first group. We have as our poet, Marie Metaphor Specht, who is a multidisciplinary artist, poet, and educator, a longtime member of the Canadian spoken word scene. She's currently serving a 2-year term as the 6th Poet Laureate of Victoria, British Columbia. In addition to her independent practice, she's collaborated with filmmakers, lighting engineers, dancers, and musicians to create immersive and interactive works like this one. Marie believes in the transformative power of this art form and has the privilege of coaching and creating space for youth poets, including me, for nearly 2 decades. Our musician is Georgiy Matviyiv, who is the winner of many international bandura competitions, inventor of the latest techniques for playing the bandura, and has recorded 6 CDs with his own music. He has performed in more than 15 countries around the world, and for the last 2 years has been performing in Canada, including in Toronto, Montreal, Victoria, and Salt Spring Island. In 2021, Georgiy earned a doctorate in music and spoke at the world-famous TED conference. And at our merch table over there, which I've forgotten to call out, Kaya, wave, our merch table back there, we have lots of merch from all of our different artists, one of them being Georgiy. And you'll have a little bit more time. I've gone ahead of myself. Yeah. Merch table, snacks. Also, after our first 3 sets of, I don't know where my pages are. After our first 3 sets of poets and musicians, we'll have a 20-minute intermission. So you'll be able to get some more snacks, go see the merch table, and I have a little bit of a surprise, which is that unfortunately our last poet of the night wasn't able to make it. So one group of our musicians was left poetless, which means that for our last set of the night, we're actually going to be inviting you guys to sign up for an open mic. We do not have much space and also we planned this morning. So we only have 5 spaces. There's a candle over there near the computer where you can find a sign up for the open mic. It's only 5 spaces, unfortunately, and we'd like you to keep it to 2 minutes or under, which is a poem or 2. But we're excited to be able to bring you that. Unfortunately, Cedar wasn't able to join us, but it does give us an opportunity for you guys to play around with this music as well. So I think we're back on track. So let's welcome Marie and Georgiy.
Hello, how's everybody doing tonight? Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. The ceremony begins with his gift of an abandoned nest. The offering was woven by birds, home for all the words he heard but couldn't hold. Magic curls between the small bones of my feet as I walk my holy at dusk. The darkening path through tall grass to the sea is a spell I write with my body. My spell is a gathering. 3 women at the shore who know the border between water and air is a mending space. Rising wind off water is a wall of air to push against. The ocean can hold this. The ritual is striking a match. My gathered words are relics. The ritual is wine crossing lips, our cups a mending space. The ritual is bread broken between women, chocolate and sharp cheese, a stack of printed emails, pages torn from a journal, and a hungry flame. The spell begins to catch, begins to lift. Bright arcs of burning paper are an offering. The wind can carry this. The spell becomes smoke, taken into lungs and held, taken into belly and held, taken into blood and held. This power is held in our bodies. Barefoot across wet stones I wade knee-deep into a starless sea. A body held by wind and water has always been an offering. I release an empty bird's nest to the waves. The unraveling of its grasses is magic. It ends with water and wind on open fingers. It ends with empty hands. Thank you so much. This next poem is called Nocturne, and it's written after Frank Pano's poem, Dirge. I have seen families make beds in graveyards, their blankets unrolled over long dead ancestors, children coaxing dreams from the soil, inexplicitly still in the blue-lunged night, as if inviting a haunting, familiar as a well-worn memory. I have heard the mother's spoons in cooking pots, like a shovel breaking ground, watched them scrape gritty kitchens out of headstones into midnight meals for the dead to share with the living. Though the dead stay dead, their candles speak in tongues of light, licked over child, grandchild, great-grandchild. Their gold-burnished greetings dance the cemetery to somber celebration, umber-shadowed farewells. The marigolds gather candlelight to mix with moonlight in soft cups, as if to say, return to the fiery earth, to the cool air, rest and gather, you will be remade. This same hopeful votive I burned in my exhausted chest as I finally pushed my son from the earth into the air. his first lungful of breath thrown back at the world. In a manner all children tend to underestimate gifts, as if it hurt to hold. I could not say for certain he'd arrived until his screaming mouth found my nipple, his eyes as dark as a candle wick, tugging at the astonished roots of my breasts. His fists open to the unfamiliar air, and my heart, the nocturnal tenderness of its song. Welcome to the light. You are here to chase the wind. Your hands are made from those who came before you. Dear one, I see you, and I see just what you do to stay here, to stay alive, stay solid, stay real, stay you, stay happy. I see you running with your pail from tree to tree while flames dance their way through the canopy. I see you through the smoke. Watch as you build us a home here in this forest fire. I see you trying to stay happy. I see you trying to stay here. You walk this world with antlers bound by tangled Christmas lights. Their blinking rainbow renders your solemn beauty a cruel joke. You, barbed wire wrapped around bone, bloody footprint in the snow, and an endless itch. Also you, velvet antlers sparked with frost, huge animal body, and a shy but ferocious heart. You don't realize you possess thunderhead eyes. There are condensed oceans in your skies, and your crackling ozone throat is rough enough to light a match. Thank God for you. And then there's me, sea turtle disfigured by a six-pack ring, as pretty as the rainbow on an oil-slicked puddle, my shell grown around discarded plastic, a corseted form, seemingly fragile, fainting, utterly restrained hourglass. But really, I'm all straight spine fist fight, bursting beyond, growing anyways, swimming in spite of. I've only ever punched a person in my dreams. And these dream punches consistently land with a pillowy impotence. My comically large hands have always implied a certain capability. A fighter's hands, but futile and pockmarked with rust. I see you, dear one. I see you through the trees. I see you fighting the dark, holding your own hand. I see you block out the sun, painting your outside bright to wash your interior with light. I see you carve a hole in that sunlight. I see you finding a way to stay. I see you finding a way to stay. This one goes out to all the poets. Those of us who grow worlds like half-remembered dreams pondered over breakfast know that this calling is for question askers. It's for those who till the space between certainties to plant tiny futures. Like sprouted beans in kindergarten classrooms, they erupt and curl towards the light. This calling is for answer questioners, those who do not sleep easily wrapped in their soft convictions. It's for those who can be broken by a song, or the particular slant of light falling between leaves. Those who understand the beauty of breaking know that to build something new, you must first unravel the old. So, when you are late because there was a sleepy bee on your stoop who needed your time and a drop of honey, gather it in. When you are awake because the moon is hung up and breathing over her mirror of salt and the stars are so loud they pinprick your skin into an electric galaxy of buzzing. Hold it. When you rise early to walk your grief to the sea and bathe in dawn's milk, take it. When you have finally felt your way through the smoke to face the burning forest with your single pail of water, linger. When you become lost in the furrowed skin of a stranger's knotted fingers, when you miss your stop because there's two teenagers falling in neon blinking love on the bus, keep it, keep it. When you are the lighthouse, when you are the sea, when you are the nest, the egg, the bird, when you are the flame, when you are the blade, when you are the stone, the river, the silt, gather it all in. When you are the space between a book and a tree, build a home of these moments. Inhabit your own wild and ordinary life. Dwell in the terrible beauty. Then sit down and write. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm Marie Metaphor, and this is Georgiy Matviyiv. We both have merch at the back, so I'm going to let you want to talk a bit about your merch?
Thank you very much. I have a voice too. Yes. If you're interested in our art, Marie's poems and my music, you can buy her book with her poems and CDs with my music. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marie and Georgiy. This is also the first time I'm hearing any of this, so I'm really excited about it. All right, our next pair, our poet is Irena Datcu-Romano, who is an artist of Romanian descent studying religions and cultures and writing at the University of Victoria. She was raised on the unceded territories of the Katsi, Coquitlam, Stolo, and Semiahmoo First Nations. Her poetry has been published in Work in Progress Mag, Voices Voix Poetry Journal, Yoke Literary Journal, and Event Magazine. The one that she's in is currently at Monroe's. Her poetry zine, Chess Game, was shortlisted for Broken Pencil's Canzine Awards in 2021. She serves as a poetry editor for This Side of West magazine. Our musician is Efrévescent, who is a multi-instrumental saxophonic enthusiast, bridging the worlds between electronic music, global fusion, and somatic and ancestral healing. Efrévescent holds a queer, embodied, and divinely relational space that invites the heart to find its groove sincerely in the echo chamber of this soul-centric life. You can find Efrévescent globe-trotting their music from festivals to front rooms, dance halls to dance temples. Follow the beat for this tasty treat. Please welcome Irena and Efrévescent.
Good evening. I am so pleased to welcome you to this time with me and Efré. The poems will be moving smoothly into each other, so we invite you to offer us some gentle snaps in between. And thank you for your presence. Mother God, after 2 hours of ecstatic dance, I was convinced I was cursed. Wherever I turn, wet mustaches, opened shirts, girls twirl their hair and tell me to come to their poetry readings. Mother, I have spent 7 years on spiritual paths, and you saw me sneak into the lace-draped side room only to steal a copy of The Prophet off a table. Though a man lay on the couch with pants unbuckled, and years ago, I would have asked his name. Tonight, I'm back where I started, whispering to you in darkness of palms, you who made me speak now through menstrual pink strobe lights. I want to know if desire smoking off my body makes you smile. Embodied spirituality. After a long night, the birds still call. Water drips from gutters like melodic rice. Clouds split like the moment you leave a church, married, combed, and ready for something new. I've climbed the mountain behind my house many times, and every time I do so, I think of you. So that perhaps by the moment I reach the top, my upwards momentum will launch the thought of you off my back and into the sky. Such small things. After the woman I loved moved to Japan forever, I stopped by Miniature World to see all the figurine faces on the tiny Ferris wheels, happy and sparkling as the eyes of chickens. She used to tell me she was scared of chickens the way they've got nothing behind the eyes. But when I was 7 years old, I worked at a farm, and I'd look those chickens right in the face before I slipped their shit-speckled eggs into my pocket, and they seemed to recognize what I was doing, and they let me take the eggs like stones from the bottom of a river. So I put them in the cup holder of my mother's car, and I never remember eating a single one. Maybe we kept them the way birds tuck torn granola bar wrappers in their nests. Or maybe I was too short to see my mother crack them above the stove. But I'd like to imagine the chicken knew they were precious and looked into my 5-foot soul as I walked away with a piece of its insides. That's a chicken. A real chicken. Someone who knows what's right. Fruit flies. Panting in my kitchen, squelch dead fruit for 3 weeks, they rule. Mass produce, pump out rice white bodies on top of mandarin-stained refrigerator. In January, I scream in my roommate's arms, see festival of fruit flies, tap dance, ribbon twirl on top of soggy pineapple specked with black. I don't want to let things die, but I do grow soft with pain. My teeth eaten by Turkish delight. My roommate and I say we will go to the dentist. We let this too die and drive to McDonald's, order avalanche milkshakes, slurp like we are the vampires and no one is eating us. Last night, standing in my kitchen, 2 fruit flies have sex on lip of flaxseed bag. A little black knot knocks off when I flick it with my fingernail. This pair lands back first on pantry shelf, still going at it. This makes me feel lonely. I was not powerful enough to stop them. Save it for next time. Find another flaxseed bag. I stand there dumbly, like I'd opened the door to a party uninvited. Everyone stares, holds sweaty black cider coolers till I close door back again. I want it to stop. This door closing in front of me. Enlightenment bus. I expect it to come at 2:52. I will get on and salute the golden retriever who drives and licks my face and says, "Downbound to enlightenment? I love you." I will take my seat on blue velvet speckled with stars. The stars are come, but I don't know that yet. What I know is the bus takes me through Telegraph Cove, where I ran in my first year of university. I see myself, gray sneakers, under eyes fresh, yellow slugs haven't lived there yet. I'll wave out the window, "Hi, Barbie." She'll turn and shout, "Nasty, sex-addicted sellout." The bus keeps going past Presbyterian shrubs, the church growing straight as a toothpick, and I'll make it home someday to Enlightenment Town, where I won't split my cervix in two like cantaloupe, bleed no more on kitchen floor, guilt shepherd dog running in my chest, it's over. I'm going to a land of purple hot air balloons adrift through cum-flecked stars. I'm going tonight, closing my eyes, smelling the wind. I am standing at the bus stop at 2:52, warmth of sun pawing my shoulders. Sometimes this is all I have. Sometimes this is all I have, plus waiting. Lipstick spirituality. In the Moulin Rouge attic, I'm a dehydrated poet, ready to court another woman. I show her my sonnets, star binoculars, my love for Bacchian piano. And while I speak, she drops another opera glove, says I have another person to meet, sashaying out the stressed velvet door. My ego chopped like French duck liver, but now to the part where I forgive myself, turning my head to see moons spill over shut slat roofs. My heart stirred like dough, beaten as the face of a loaf of bread. They say you need warmth to grow, a clean bowl of silver to rise in. But I need the dirt, the dark, an heirloom I didn't inherit until I climbed into the open car trunk of God. Confirmation. It was simple. It was April when you got married. You wore red carnations on your neckline. I said you looked pretty, and you did. When you got married, you wore your grandmother's opal hair brooch. I said you looked pretty, and you did. Your husband shook the father's hand. Your grandmother's opal hair brooch glinted like streetlights. That night in November, all of us St. Mary's girls going to Lucky's bar, glinting like streetlight. That night in November, you licked salt off the back of your hand. All of us St. Mary's girls going to Lucky's bar, and I didn't touch you out of fear of going red. You licked salt off the back of your hand. I held the shaker a few inches off your skin, and I didn't touch you out of fear of going red. Is this good? You ask me later that night. I held the shaker a few inches off your skin. It was simple. It was April. Is this good? You ask me later that night. Red carnations on your neckline. Butter off a spoon on Sundays, is baking cookies for your boyfriend while he sleeps in your bed. Being queer is having a boyfriend and still writing about being queer. Being queer is having a bucket of cold water poured over your head and also getting into a hot tub and never leaving. Being queer is someone pressing a stethoscope to your chest and inside finding a canary. Being queer requires God's blessing. To be queer, you need to be in God's good books. You walk up the mountain and ask, "You made me?" And he says, "Yes." And you walk back down because that was all you needed to know.
Irena just asked if I wanted to plug my SoundCloud. It's Efrévescent if you'd like to follow it.
I'm glad we're all gonna go home and find you on SoundCloud now. Thank you so much to Irena and Efré. This is our last set before the intermission. For our poet, we'll have LJ Weisberg, who is a Chinese trans non-binary artist whose complex intersections of identity and diaspora inform their work. They have featured notably at Victoria's Tongues of Fire Slam, Vancouver Poetry Slam, Word Vancouver, Mashed Poetics, and the Growing Room Festival. Their publications include pieces in UVic's This Side of West, Adoption Canada, and a forthcoming piece in Prairie Fire. They hold a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Writing from the University of Victoria. And our musician will be Olena Kolibaba. Olena Kolibaba is a Ukrainian-born classically trained violinist, arranger, and composer, and also a music educator. Olena's musical style showcases classical influences blended into ambient improvisations, and her composing journey reflects a search for creative self, cultural identity, and connections with nature. She has performed widely during 7 years that she lived in the United Arab Emirates, and now, while based in Vancouver, she continues to inspire audiences with her unique style. Please welcome LJ and Olena.
All right, we got to figure it out. Okay, clearly. Okay. Hi, I'm LJ.
I'm Elena.
Okay. We want to do a little preamble and just say this is our set on exploring identity and relationships and finding home not in a specific place, but through the company of others. We tried to, in this collaboration, create a performance in which the musician and the poet are basically in conversation with each other, so both in thematic content and on stage. And we gave it a title because we thought, why not be extra? We called it Notes on
Against-
Notes. Ooh, my fault. I made up the title and I was like, oops, I forgot what it's called. Notes Against Displacement. Without further ado, enjoy. Let's go. Actually, this is lower. Psyche subject to flooding. Their presence is caught on loop in my apartment. When I snap, our phantoms dance just under my fingertips, shadows cast by marionette muscle memory. The overheads or fluorescent promise flickered dry, like fireflies dropped from black sky at the inhalant of pesticides into frail exoskeletons. Mondays caught on repeat, gnawing on memories like old bones. But after tonight's rainfall, I find myself unwilling to remain inside, sharpening doubt. I climb the hill to my street, stand at the center of the cul-de-sac, a bullseye pointing north. Caught in this asphalt lasso, I watch the purple dusk expand to encompass every part of me. Their handprints still on my carpet. Ask me why the urge remains, to be an empty vessel, meant to ferry people from one place of emotion to the next. I almost forgot the red lanterns blurring shades as I skateboard down Pender. I almost forgot the Rorschach tests on the mystery stains like Rorschach tests on the road beneath my wheels. Street lights turn cosmic in my peripherals, like fallen stars caught in a glass cage, dancing only to entertain the students turned tourists come home for Christmas. Am I student? Tourist? I forget if I live here or not. So I dip my fingers into chill puddles, search for tea readings in the fall leaves. I demand words of wisdom from the twisted neon of Granville. But even as I run my fingers along the graded gates of East Van, the entrance ways remain solid, stiff, unyielding. No matter that my habits linger, I always carry cash, sift ash through metal pipe screens purchased on commercial. I avoid gaping at the gaps in the tall buildings, rich, rotten holes riddled in the downtown skyline. And suddenly, I am deafened by a passing siren off Broadway. And I plug my ears, seek solace in the familiar sidewalk, the littered cigarette butts like white finger joints pointing me forward. But even as I look up, I realize I'm lost in a place I once recognized like each one of my birthmarks. My black gloves turn my hands to stumps cut off by the dusk. And now, even this city cannot palm read. Dumpling weaving on Chinese New Year. I watch my friends fold dough into neat, round crescents. Some overflowing at the edges, but all made with warm, sticky hands. Fresh friend of mine, upon arrival, she perused my shelf of treasured keepsakes, pointed out the Chinese literature, the lucky cat perched on my shelf. She and I, such inverse replicas, that her fingers memorized this ritual long ago. Pack pork, wet with water, pull over, seal tight. Well-worn friend of mine, chops cabbage, minces garlic without being asked, knows where to find the Mandela deep dish bowls without a search, which soon brim, tangy with aromatics. Bright friend of mine forgets to wash hands, but curates indie rock on the speaker, fills us full of wide-mouthed laughter. As the dying winter light pours its last vestiges onto my dining table, us four are joined together by invisible red yarn, not snipped into sections and tied, but threaded carefully between us. Maybe this is a tapestry to be sewn together one February eve, a tuck here, a glue there, a crease, a pinch, a celebration of beginnings, and a making good of ends.
I also kind of don't know how to work this. We've reached our intermission. So we'll have 20 minutes to socialize, to sign up for our open mic where the candle's flickering over there. Grab a snack or check out our merch table. Maybe Kaya can give another wave. Right at the back near the doors. Hello. We take cash and e-transfer, and there's also an ATM outside. Thank you guys so much for your attention and energy so far, and there's more good stuff to come. Thank you so much. Hello again, everyone. Hopefully, thank you. We're gonna come back now, I think, from intermission. Yeah, I hope you guys got some good snacks. They look like we made some good work. So I'm just gonna find you the bios for our next poet and musician. Our next poet is Shauntelle, DC. Shauntelle is a poet from the Heshkwit and Songhees First Nations and began writing in grade 10. Her work focuses on Indigenous topics like residential schools, intergenerational trauma, and the experiences of Indigenous women. In 2019, she competed with the Vic Slam team at the Canadian Festival of Spoken Word and placed 8th at Nationals. Shauntelle also has 2 poems featured in Aboriginal Voices 2 and hopes to one day publish her own book. And our musician is Alisha Rampersad. Alisha is a multi-instrumentalist, composer, and audio engineer. She explores how traditional musical forms play out in modern contexts. 2 days ago, she ran into a pole, and yet she is here today, and she has never been more artistically capable. All right, please welcome Alisha and Shauntelle.
Hello, Uklaxish Hupkosta Hishkayatsu, Sietit Lakangan Mamachni Shauntelle. Hi everyone, my name's Shauntelle. My other gifted name from the Heshkwit territories is Hupkosta, which loosely translates into sunrise, which I was gifted that name from my late great-grandmother, Mamie Charlson. My other gifted name is Siethia, and that comes from Songhees, and that name also travels as far as Bellingham, Washington. And it basically means little sister, and I share that with Brianna Bear, if any of you guys know her, is Thiethiet. And yeah, so I have this poem here today. This was actually a poem inspired from when I walked into the St. Andrew's Church, which is actually just across the street. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Take a deep breath. One foot after another, I open the doors and I feel uncertainty. My stomach drops as I walk through the halls and I feel anxious. Walking through the building with the stained glass murals all over. As I walk in, eyes watching me at benches empty. And I see a man, legs tied, hands nailed down to a cross with a thorn crown piercing his skull, piercing his thoughts. The smell of the church makes me feel so nauseous. The smell of nightmares haunts me whilst I'm awake, and I feel so much pain in this house of God. I hear the children wailing in the cellar down below. I look through all the rooms and I'm trying to find it, but what am I looking for? I know I'm here for a reason. I start my search by looking in the dark box, the place where you're supposed to confess, thinking someone will tell the truth and where it is. And I look through the cellar down below. I look through Bible after Bible, trying to find a clue, trying to find a reason, a purpose almost. Why am I here? And I almost start praying to God, thinking He can really help this time. Looking through the pages so fast, I was stopped. The holy book preaches so loud. All I can hear, all I can read is, if you feel purposeless, ask God for wisdom and directions. James chapter 1 verse 5 states so. Maybe this book's right. Maybe I need to ask God for direction because that seems to be the only option I have. I need to know what I'm looking for because I'm lost. I'm lost in my own thoughts. I'm lost in this dark forest. I don't know where to go. Let me be a sheep and you be my shepherd. I'm lost in my own words, lost in the language of the white man. That's it. I can't speak. All I can do is scream. Scream because I am not me. God, please. Give me the directions to your disciples who took what was mine. Tell them to give me back what was once mine. I'll do anything. Convert me, dunk me in holy water, baptize me right here, right now as I go under. I know my skin will burn. all be worth it, won't it? To drench my skin in holy water, I ask for forgiveness, repentance to my sin of being native. And as I hear the hymns get louder and louder and louder, I go deaf. Not a sound, not a drum, no language. All I hear is you. And it feels so wrong. Is this really God? Is this really the God you follow? Allowing his own to try to destroy a whole race? Is this really God? Is he the one you follow? Is he in disguise? Because in these holy walls, children sat in these benches. Children taken from their families. Children abused by your disciples. How did you let these people live such fucking happy lives? Because blood stains the glass now. Blood stains the red carpet leading to your Jesus. And I can't tempt myself with this conversion. It doesn't feel right. And as I grasp for air in this holy cathedral, it burns my throat. As I start to run to the waters to cleanse my body and soul. I know what I need to do next.
Thank you so much to Shauntelle and Alisha. I'm finding the bio on my phone. The next poet is me. I realized that I did not introduce myself. I don't know if I even said my name at the beginning of this or why we're all here, which is, my name is Eva Haas. I am working with the city as the Youth Poet Laureate, and as part of my program, I arrange an event a year, and this is, it's a 2-year program, and this is what you're at tonight. So thank you so much for coming to this and supporting this. It's quite literally a dream come true. And give me one moment to find my lovely musician's bio somewhere in the document. All right, the person I'll be working with is Maxwell Sorensen. Maxwell is a musician and composer with a history of performing post-punk and indie rock music in Victoria with his band Head with Feet. He's currently working on student films and reaching the final stages of his upcoming chamber rock solo album. Please welcome Maxwell. As a little intro to our set, Maxwell and I decided to look at several poems that spoke to each other and develop their relationship by organizing them into one long piece. So like Irena and Efré, we ask that you keep it to snapping and stuff between poems, and I'll let you know when the end is so that you can clap. And we also gave our poem, our long piece, a name. This is called Legacy in 4 Parts. Hell yeah. I saw the metronome at Maxwell's and I was like, I'd never seen one in real life before. I was like, we should use that. asked my foremothers what it means to be a virgin, and they said, I am too heavy for it, and have been since 13, since I ate my first McDouble and snapped my hymen on the back of a Shetland pony. I asked my foremothers if it was okay not to wear a bra in my new pink dress. They told me my tits sagged. I stripped naked to bathe on the beach of my foremothers, littered with golden sea glass, sizzling in the ancestral sun. I laid my purple hips bare with stretch marks on the beach of my foremothers and baked under the brilliant sky. At 20, alone in Harlow, England, in a dorm the shape, size, and smell of a brown paper takeout bag, my mother spent 3 months unable to eat anything but kids' meal hamburgers dressed with only ketchup, lost 30 pounds, and stumbled upon a husband hiding on a lower floor. Even with her 90s pencil brows, she looks exactly like her daughter will 30 years later in her own dormitory, missing her. I love my mother most when she is tucked safely into the sleeve of the past, her hand not yet open on the table. I will take her old life like a heap of warm clothes from the laundry. I will not mind the artificial smell of lemon and lilac. I don't care if it's contrived. I want her in my memory at the brown oak table with a fork full of shepherd's pie laughing. I want her before she stumbles into his damp dormitory bed and consolidates the future. Before she comes to that little house where I was made, back when she was on beaches in Greece, wearing thin strips of orange bikini and baking into herself. I love my mother most when she is alive and alone, pitcher plant and wild purple lupin, the ripple of homesickness in her, the island we both came from, the tiny, bitter blueberries she carried inside her, running out into the Atlantic. Mom, I know you most there when you were on the cliff. Cheeks bitten and snatched by wind, I know you most when you are taking the pregnancy test on a toilet in Ontario, right before you see double. Mom, I lose you as you come out of the bathroom waving the stick. I lose sight of you because a train is coming to separate us. You are boarding your own future and leaving me behind to become my mother. I will miss you forever because you are not me anymore. I am not you. I will never be one to cry in man's arms. I will never leave that place up high on the cliff, full of only myself, watching your boat departing inwind. My shadow self won't leave me alone. She follows me, heavy in her Costco slippers, breasts deflated like old birthday balloons. I am allergic to her silent dumbness, the sound of her twins in the nursery, husband's money thick in the baby blue walls. She walks to Foodland for animal crackers and carrot sticks, comes home to lie flat for a man whose penis tastes like cucumbers. She thinks I don't notice her finish the job, her hours in the pantry crying. She lies to me about the twins' sleep schedules. She wants me to love them just like she does. One day, I just snap and push her out the business end of the Brigus Tunnel. No one sees me do it. Her eyes are dull as saucers of milk. Later, when I write that I've killed her, I include rude details like that, so everyone thinks I am hard and literary, so people do not picture the scream I let out when I drowned her. The sound of deciding, the sound of something I loved dying, and of her blonde hair loose on the tide, spinning blind as broken stroller wheels. Dear Eva, another day spent as yourself. Last night, your mermaid drag melted off like a mirage. Hot glued shells slipped from your heirloom pearls. How often do you look in the mirror, wondering what she would see? Her saltbox house in a faraway cove, her white cotton skirt fresh off the clothesline, inflated full of resettled sky. I see that gleam of green in your great-grandmother's pearls. Can you ask forgiveness from someone you never knew? What does it mean to be a woman forgiven? a body stripped like a conch. A kitschy craft on wine glass stem. What's left after a classy party? I don't want to break your mirror. I want to write about relief, a flare of light, a perfect scale. I don't want to hear any more about the floods, who they took and who they spared. Please, tell me that other story again. The one where you spun through community halls in sock feet. The one where you swam with a whole school of fish. That's all that time. So next we have our open mic, but while Maxwell is leaving the stage, I will go look for the open mic page backstage because I left it there. So one moment. I introduce you, and then I say, like, because do you guys want to be playing consistently as people are getting on and on?
I think that's the nicest way to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's a lot of stopping and starting.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that you can just play consistently. We'll call people up to read a poem. I think we should probably keep it to like a poem each.
I think so.
And then they'll say thank you. We'll clap, but you'll be playing the whole time. Yeah. And then Okay, perfect. I'll try my best to introduce that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, I think it's just about time for our open mic. We found the sheet. First, I'd like to introduce our musicians, Grace Period. Grace Period is Stella and Tamsen's miscellaneous duo project, a creative effort spanning radio, music, art, poetry, live shows, and other schemes. Grace Period is an in-between time, a softness, a pause, and a relief. Our five brave open mic souls. Number one, we have Jim Matei. Number two, we have Simon Inglis. Number three, we have Mary Elizabeth Grace. Number four, we have Kennedy Halwa. And number five, we have Patricia. So I think the way that this is going to work is I'm going to call you each up for one poem, and our musicians are going to be playing the whole time just to ease the transitions. So you can come up, you'll read a poem, we'll clap for you, and then we'll send you on your way for the next poet. Which means that our first poet is Jim Matei. I think to clarify, for our open mic, just to give our musicians a chance to do their thing, because they were originally supposed to be with a poet, we're going to let the musicians play. But for the open mic, if you'd like to read any spoken work, it doesn't have to be your own. You can also read a favorite poem if you have access to one. So thank you to Jim. Our second poet up is Simon Inglis.
All right, so this is something I've dug up since finding out this was going to be happening. It's an older piece, and I think I'm going to add a little, I'm going to cheat a little bit and add a little coda of something that I wrote while all this was going on tonight, because it was so inspiring seeing everyone up here on stage, and I jotted down a sort of short few lines. Yeah, but the piece I'm going to read first is entitled Selkies. I didn't learn how to swim until I was 10 years old. So I spent my summers planted on the floating dock and watched the others crash into the glassy sea. They would swim out to the forbidden island where the whaler's shrine used to be, rising from the water, shining in their awkward, half-formed grace. Stripping off their cloaks of pale and speckled skin, bloody and raw in each other's company. I would listen to the echoes of barking, laughter, and wonder at the quiet moments, trying my best to guess the shape of the stones they kept beneath their tongues. I had made the crossing sense, shut my eyes against the salts and thundered blindly through the surf. But in my heaving hours, I am always there alone. Am I still too young to start collecting knuckle bones? Tumbling them in the surf until the foaming mouth of the roaring beauty spits them back abalone smooth and shining like the eyes of untamed children. Thank you.
Thank you so much to everyone who signed up. It was very last minute, but I appreciated that so much. Thank you. Our next poet is Mary Elizabeth Grace.
Hi there, everyone. I'm going to do a piece for In the Name of Love for Valentine's. And I think there's a few layers to this idea that I'll share in this poem. There ain't no sweet hello to this girl, and there ain't no sweet hello to that. There ain't no sweet hello to this girl, and there ain't no sweet hello to that. The rhythm of his words would force you to watch the wail, the drunk wail of his belly, rising and falling. And in the other corner, she would sit there, fishhook flint in her eyes. That's always been there since I've known her, and I've known her my whole life. She would sit there waiting for news of death, and when it came, her eyes would glaze over, and she'd cackle like a crow in heat. Ishka, oh yes, water begs a second name. And outside, the other would be gathering wild stones for her journey. And if she had spoke, they would have said, "Careful, girl, your sea has no shore." So she kept her words to herself and built her boat. And one day, she left, and she says, "I shall return to the Salish Sea, because I can tell by the way that word feels in my mouth. I'm gonna know between the blue and green foreverness for myself, because I'm not here for traveling small, and Ishka, the water, knows my name." Thank you very much. Happy Valentine's.
Thank you so much for that. Our next poet is Kennedy Hoa.
Thank you again to Eva and collaborators for this lovely, lovely night. I have two poems I'm going to read for you. First called Mirror, Mirror. I stand in my mother's bathroom. She blow dries her hair, and I wait to borrow her straightener. I look between my eyes and hers, same hazel, same focused brow, same eye wrinkles. She has me brush the back of her head. I think of how she used to braid my hair, and I flinch when she touches my hair now. She applies mascara. I pluck her brows. She asks my opinion on a new top, new jeans, which necklace, bracelet, earrings look better. I wonder if she wants my approval the same way I look for hers, in my straightened hair, in my tattoos, in who I love, in my bootcut jeans, in the way I exist in this vast world, in the way I tell her, "That's a nice color on you." She asks if I mean it. "It brings out your eyes," I say. I tell her she's always looked good in jewel tones. She sighs. Attention to my eyes brings out my wrinkles. I sigh. Smile lines means you've lived. You'll have them too. I look forward to living. There is still a newlywed in her. There is still a teen in her. There is still a girl in her who danced on a piano, who had bad boyfriends, who had good crushes, who wants to look pretty, who wants to feel young. There's always been a mother in her. I see her in my eyes, in my snap decisions, in my smart-ass comments. "Sassy girl," she tells me. "What's that saying about the apple falling?" I laugh. "Dad thinks I'm funny." "You get your humor from him?" She sighs. I sigh. We are so similar, but so far apart. I think about the difference between us, between loving and being liked. Some days I know she loves me. Some days I don't think she likes me. Some days I wonder if I am still worth her dreams of having a baby girl. Some days I think she wishes I am more, or she is more, or we are more alike, or we are more different, but there is no use questioning it. I am the cracked mirror my mother checks her reflection in. Okay. I'm gonna do another. This one's called National Coming Out Day. A day to celebrate since 1988. A march turned annual observance made for kissing same-sex lovers on the bus, running errands, in public, for going to hell and reclaiming slurs, and for disappointing parents, for secret girlfriends and choices we didn't make, for phases that never ended instead of getting too comfortable in our closets. Every year I debate it. If telling mom again is worth the tears or the pride of hearing her heart and voice break as I tell her I won't marry my male middle school best friend. He has a boyfriend now, after all. Maybe this time I can be in the room without being the elephant. Maybe my grandmother will pass before I give her a heart attack. Maybe the religious side of my family will surprise me and ask about more than boys in school, but I still may not tell my truth. Anything I have to say falls out of line with small talk and pleasantries. Maybe I am here by mistake. God wrote me in pen, couldn't erase me if he wanted. Maybe I stained his good book with cherry wine and it bleeds into the pages of the Gospels I once used to press flowers in, a hidden collection of Sappho's violets. Maybe I am too much, or have too much love to give. I can never tell the difference between my brother's girlfriend and mine, aside from the fact that my family knows about his. Maybe I will try again next year, to hold my lover's hand on the bus, to explain to my mother how I can love more than one kind of human, how the way I love is love, is love, is love, is sweeter than lavender and prouder than sin, more than an acronym, stereotypes, or ring of keys on my belt. from a march of 500,000 in Washington, D.C., a proud community with hearts on sleeves, to a 20-some kid who fears hers will always be in the wrong place. Happy October 11th, they say. Maybe next year it will be just that. It's been 4 years since we talked about how you raised a daughter with so much love to give, and I fail to understand how that is something you want for me to be so damn ashamed of. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. Our last poet of the evening for the open mic is Patricia.
Hi, everyone. This one's called Song for Oceans because it was a poem that turned into a song, and it's the only one I can remember by heart because it has a melody. But I won't do that. I'll just say it. The knots tense and release with each passing wave. As striated clouds and maritime birds pass overhead. You sit beside me, adjusting your scar, as I watch the glittering sea and think about what you told me. What you told me. The waves take on rocks, vanquish them all. The wind breaks the backs of the trees standing tall. If once I had walls, now they must all fall. There's nothing in my heart that separates me from it all. The knots tense and release, each passing wave.
Thank you so much to all our open mic poets and to our musicians. Grace period. And thank you, Grace period, so much for your flexibility because this is the open mic was planned this morning. I have a long list of thank yous, but I don't have my notebook in my hand, so hopefully I will remember them all. Firstly, thank you so much to Hermann's Jazz Club for having us tonight. Thank you so much to the volunteers at the door. I think Joanne and Anne. Thank you so much to Kaya back there, my roommate and beloved friend, for doing the merch table. Thank you so much to our musicians, to our poets. Thank you to the City of Victoria. And thank you to everyone who came out here tonight and enjoyed this event, hopefully. And we hope to do this again sometime. And lastly, if you could take your cups and cans to the bar, it would just be a big help for us. That's all. Thank you so much for coming to Beat Night.